Okay, starting record, so.
First of all, I'll start it out. Like, we just work for the temporary agencies. We're supposed to be paying minimum wage. But in order for you to get paid for 8-hour days, you had to put in 10 to 12 hours. And in order for you to get a 10 hours pay, you put in 12 to 14 hours.
Why? How did that work? Why
At the temporary place, in order for me to get out to go to work, I have to be there 2 hours before time to go out to work. I got to sign in the sheet to get in, to make sure that I go out. Now I wait 2 hours for them to tell me that you're one of the lucky ones. You get to go out today. I've been there 2 hours now. I get forced to ride the bus, which is going to cost me $7.50. And during the crunch year last year, I wasn't working at the time, but they were charging the guys up to $9, but they're still making it $7. And we would go to work, and at this particular place, which was affiliated with Rumpke, he's going to tell you more about. They would charge us $15 for safety equipment, which consisted of a hard hat, a vest, and glasses, safety glasses, and gloves. Have to change your gloves every 2 or 3 days, which was $2. Out of your money, you lose your safety glasses, you have to pay for them again. And since then, we know that OSHA says, any safety equipment, they're supposed to pay for it. And this went on for years. They can discontinue the practice with our campaign, which he's going to tell you about with Rumpke. But these are the things that we as workers for temporary agencies go through day in and day out, And it's not that I was working at this one particular place. I have to come past the place that I'm going to work at, ride the bus pass to the temporary place to get on their bus to go back to where I worked at. And it was forcible. The only way you could stay on the job is that's what you had to do. Maybe I should introduce myself too, also, right?
Yeah, tell us your name.
My name is George Harrison. I live in the city of Cincinnati.
And tell us the name of the temporary agency that you were working with in this case.
This was TLC, Temporary Labor Company. And but this TLC subcontracted work from the biggest garbage collector in our neighborhood, which was Rumpke. And they also contracted work from what we know as Smucker or P&G. These are the people the company who subcontracted these things out, and they had to know about. They give TLC these contracts, and it's modern day slavery. That's really what it was.
Cleave, you want to tell us a little bit? First, tell us your name, Cleave, and where you're from.
My name is Cleave Williams. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I started at Rumpke at the end of 2006. When I started, I was only making $6.50 an hour. Digging through trash 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And TLC's policy was to charge you $7.50, like he said, for transportation to and from every day. You have to pay for your own equipment. And digging in garbage, you're gonna get nasty. You gotta change your gloves. You can't keep using the same equipment. We had to pay for that stuff for a long time before I found out about the living wage deal, which the living wage, the way it was set up, anybody that had a contract with the city was supposed to pay a living wage. TLC didn't pay a living wage. And I think that's why Rumpke chose TLC, so they wouldn't have to spend a lot of money. But and the city paid for all of our equipment, which that was supposed to be free. Our transportation was supposed to be free, but they charged us for it. And then after I found that book, the living wage.
Well, tell us about that. What happened?
I was working online one day, digging through this garbage, and I just happened to see a notebook, and it said living wage. And I had been hearing about a living wage, but I really didn't know what it was about. So I pulled a book out off the line, and I threw it to the side. I had to keep working out, but I read it later on, and it explained the living wage and the contract with the city and everything. And so I started. That's when I started going to Interfaith. It was D-Lop at the time, and they were fighting for a living wage. And so I brought this book down there one day and I showed it to them. You know, they said, "Well, where did you get that book?" I said, "I found it going down the garbage line." You know, I pulled it up the line, and so I started passing out flyers. You know, we started Red's got an opening day thing, a parade that they have once a year, big thing. We would pass out flyers, march, go to soup kitchens and pass out flyers, and so Jeff Rumpke, one of the owners of Rumpke, got wind of what was going on, and I was passing them around on the job and telling people, yeah, we actually are supposed to get a living wage. So he called me to the office. He called, it was a lot of us to the office, and he asked, he heard people complaining, you know, I guess through full-time employees, and he asked us what was our problem. Everybody was sort of afraid to talk at that time, so I said, well, we're supposed to be getting $6.50. That was minimum wage at that time, and we're not getting $6.50. You know, you charge us transportation every day. Transportation alone was over our first hour of work. You know, then for our equipment. You know, and so he said, well, he would look into that. You know, I said, well, the city is paying you guys to give us this stuff.